In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about major shifts and one way that I like to handle dealing with those. So let's go. All right, everybody, here we are again in the barn. I am just about a half an hour away from the monthly live stream of Camera and Flash, so looking forward to seeing Caleb and Ben and everybody else who shows up. And this happens to be a somewhat unique day that only happens every 4 years in this country. It's the day after Election Day. And while this channel is not about religion, politics, science, or any of that kind of stuff, there is the reality that for many people, especially in this country, what happens on Election Day and the result of that can have a major impact on people's emotions and how they're looking at things. And in this country right now, we have approximately half of the country who is elated and very happy, and we have about a half of the country that is completely deflated. And it is not for this episode to talk about anything other than that, but except for the fact that for a lot of people, that shift, whether they're elated or deflated, is something that is very much on their minds right now. They're looking at the future and seeing a future that for them may seem brighter, may seem dimmer, and it is occupying many people's time. And mentally, it can be exhausting. Now, we have sitting on top of this other special little layer that has been given to us over the last decade or two, which is called social media. And that just feeds the fire on both sides. And it is oh so sweet and delicious. And I am being facetious, as you can tell. Being sarcastic. So what I like to do when there are major shifts, and I'm not talking about when you are dealing with something like a death in the family or some sort of event like that, but something like this, is I try to stay away from social media as much as humanly possible. I want to know what's happening politically inside of the country that I live in and sort of where this is going to go and how it's going to play out. But I try to just stay away from all of that noise as much as possible, and I try to be productive. And I know that sounds like an obvious thing to do, but it can be really hard when you're in situations where there are these huge shifts, again, positive or negative, depending on who you are and what your viewpoint is, to just get back to doing things, because being productive and moving towards what your purpose is, your goals and things like that, that's really the only thing that you can do in a shift. And you're not going to go out there and change anything that has happened markedly. You might have some impact, and there are people who dedicate their entire lives to making change that way, and it's extremely admirable. But most of us just want to get on with our lives and do things, take care of our families, take care of, the things that we do, and hopefully be happy at what we're doing when we work. So it's maybe a ridiculous episode. It might not be. We all have to deal with, no matter where we are in the world, major shifts. And I'm not talking about war. I'm not talking about that type of conflict. But I am saying that when your world is seemingly either turned upside down or something happens and it just changes everything, and in your viewpoint, it is for the better, it's still a huge shift. And to me, I think that the most effective way to deal with that is to get on with your life. And I think that, at least for me, that is a sane way of doing things. And then we can do the things that we like to do. And we hope and we look forward to the future that things are going to get better, not worse. But when these shifts happen, they will affect people in different ways. Get out there, be creative if that's what you do for a living, and try to stay away from the noise as much as possible. You've kind of got to have your finger on the pulse to a degree, because all of these things, depending on where you are and when it happens, will affect your life in some way or another. But in a day-to-day situation, we just got to keep going. Got to keep getting on with things and be productive. All right, back to some more equipment and more creative stuff tomorrow. Don't forget to. And I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.